All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive.
Into the world of tractors and tillers.
Exactly. Into the Q2 FY25 performance
Yeah.
of VST Tillers Tractors Ltd. And, we always come prepared to these deep dives. And today we've got, we've got their press release right off the bat.
Fresh from the company.
Yeah, and then, got to have the detailed financial statements too.
Of course. Can't forget those.
And just to make things even more interesting, we got our hands on their investor presentation.
Fancy.
So yeah, I think we're ready to go. And the reason we're doing this is, well, maybe you're thinking about buying some stock, or maybe you just want to know what's going on in the ag equipment world. Either way.
There are your guys.
Yeah, we're going to break it all down for you. So VST Tillers Trackers, they put out their unaudited Q2 results. This was on November 4th, 2024. And, everything's been looked over. Audit committee, board of directors.
Checked and double checked.
Right. And even their statutory auditors did a limited review.
Okay.
That adds a little extra, confidence to the numbers.
Sure.
For sure. Okay, let's jump into the main stuff. Revenue from operations for Q2 FY25, it came in at 283.43 crore.
Just a smidge. A tiny bit above the 278.51 crore from the same quarter last year. So pretty much flat revenue growth?
Yeah, flat revenue, but hold on, profit after tax, or as we like to call it, PT, that jumped up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to 44.93 crore, which is a 14.48% increase from Q2 FY24.
Wow. So more profit with basically the same revenue.
That's what we like to see.
Yeah.
Making more money with what you got to be doing something, right?
Definitely doing something. Could be cost cutting, could be better margins, maybe even some one-time gains. We'll have to, keep looking to see what's really driving that profit growth.
Exactly. Now, if we zoom out and look at the first half of the fiscal year, revenue actually went down a little. Came in at 474.02 crore, down from 524.65 crore in H1 FY24.
Right.
But even with a dip in revenue, the PAT for the first half of FY25, that went up to 67.78 crore. That's a 12.98% increase from the same time last year.
So they're still managing to squeeze out more profit.
Exactly. Okay, now let's get into the specifics. What are they actually selling? Well, the investor presentation, it breaks down the sales volume, power tillers, tractors, power weeders, and reapers.
Nice. Love a good breakdown.
Me too. So in Q2 FY25, power tiller sales, those actually went up compared to last year, same quarter. Tractor sales, those went down a bit. But here's where it gets interesting. Power weeder sales, those saw a pretty big jump year over year.
Looks like their product mix is changing up a bit. Makes you wonder, is this VST Tillers tractors, are they making a shift toward power weeders? Or is there something happening in the market itself? Is that what's driving this demand?
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be something in the market. It's just if one product's up and others are down, it feels like, something's going on outside the company.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe farmers need something different now, or maybe their practices are changing and they're switching to power weeders.
Yeah, could be. And there's actually another twist in the sales story. The investor presentation, it gives us some data for October 2024, and both power tiller and tractor sales have jumped way up compared to October 2023. So,
What's going on there?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It could be seasonal, right?
Yeah.
But it could also mean that things are turning around for the company.
Maybe, yeah. But to really understand, we got to look at the bigger picture. Are there economic trends or government policies impacting agriculture? Maybe that explains this jump in sales.
Good point. And remember how we were talking about VST Tillers tractors boosting profits, even with flat revenue? Well, the financial statements, they actually have this key detail. They had a pretty big fair value gain on their investments, both for the quarter and for the first half of the year.
It's like finding extra money in your pocket. Good for the bottom line, but, investment gains, those can be kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, not something you can always rely on, right?
Exactly. That's why when you're looking at a company's performance, you really want to know, where's the profit coming from? Is it from their main business or is it something else?
Yeah, totally. So we're starting to put the pieces together. VST Tillers tractors, good Q2 performance in terms of profit, but the sales volume, that's a little more complex. We've got the power weeder trend, and then that jump in October, sales lots to consider.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning. To really understand this company, we got to go beyond just these numbers. We got to look at the whole agriculture sector.
Right, and that's a perfect segue to our next segment. We're going to look at what all this means for someone who might want to invest in VST Tillers tractors. All right, so we've been digging into these numbers, seeing some good stuff, some, not so good stuff, and, maybe even had a couple of head-scratching moments.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, for sure. But now let's think about this from an investor's point of view. So if you're looking at VST Tiller's tractors, what should you really be focusing on?
Well, investors, one of the first things they look at is earnings per share, or
Right,
EPS.
EPS.
Yeah. Think of it this way. You've got your profit pie, right? And share of stock, that's like a slice of that pie.
Right.
And EPS, that tells you how big each slice is.
And bigger is better. Right.
Usually, yeah. And for VST Tiller's tractors, their EPS actually went up quite a bit, both for the quarter and for the first half of the year.
Okay, so good news there.
Seems like it. Suggests the company is making more profit for every share you own.
Yeah, but we saw that revenue was kind of flat, and then there was that investment gain, which was kind of unusual. So is this EPS growth, is it something investors can really count on for the future?
That's the big question, isn't it? We got to figure out if this growth is solid or if it's, built on shaky ground. Like building a house, you got to have a strong foundation.
Makes sense.
So in this case, we got to look at their profitability trends, how they're managing costs, their overall financial health, all that good stuff.
So EPS is one piece of the puzzle. What else, what other financial things should investors be keeping an eye on?
Well, another interesting one in these financial statements, it's called operational EBITDA percent.
Operational EBITDA percent.
Okay. It might sound complicated, but it basically tells you how efficiently the company's running their main business.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly is operational EBITDA percent, and why should I care?
All right, imagine you're running a lemonade stand.
Lemonade stand, got it.
EBITDA is like looking at how much money you made just from selling that lemonade without worrying about, how much you spent on the stand itself, the pitcher, the lemons. You get the idea.
Okay, so it's like the pure profit from making the lemonade.
Exactly. It shows you how profitable your lemonade making operation really is.
So a higher operational EBITDA percent means you're running a really good lemonade stand.
You got it. And for VST Tiller's tractors, their operational EBITDA percent, it actually went down both for the quarter and for the half year.
So their lemonade making skills, maybe they need a little work.
Maybe. Could be a lot of things, though, right? Their costs could be going up. Maybe they have to lower prices, or maybe they're selling more of those products that aren't as profitable.
So another thing for investors to check out.
Exactly. And remember, these financial statements, they're just a snapshot. Investors need to look ahead, What's the competition doing? What's going on in the whole agricultural equipment sector long term? We've seen how VST Tiller's tractors is dealing with the changes in what farmers are buying, but there are even bigger things happening out there, things that could impact their future.
So it's not just about what's happening now, but what might happen down the road?
Right, like a good chess player, gotta think several moves ahead.
And you need information to make those moves.
Absolutely. Don't just rely on these financial statements. Dive into their annual reports. Read what the industry experts are saying. Keep your eye on market trends. Even talk to some experts yourself.
Yeah, the more you know, the better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of information, remember that joint venture mentioned in the reports?
Oh, yeah, the joint venture.
Yeah, investors might be wondering, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Right, good question.
Well, joint ventures, they can be a smart move for companies. It's like teaming up, Pool your resources, get into new markets, learn from each other, stuff like that.
So is this a win for VST Tiller's tractors?
Hard to say right now. We need more details. What are they trying to do with this partnership? What's it going to do to their finances? How does it fit into their overall plan? These are all questions an investor should be asking.
Okay, so another piece of the puzzle to figure out.
Right. What I really like about these deep dives is that we don't just look at the numbers. We actually think about what they mean for someone who might want to invest.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to give you the tools to analyze any company, really understand what's going on.
Exactly. Now, there's one more big question we need to talk about. What does the future hold for VST Tiller's tractors and for the whole agricultural equipment sector? But before we get into that,
let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and we spent some time looking at VST Tiller's tractors Q2 FY25 results, and I think we found some interesting things.
yeah, for sure.
Like that profit jump, even though revenue was pretty flat, and how sales are shifting between their different products.
Oh, and that spike in October sales?
Yeah, that was a weird one. It's like we're putting together a puzzle, right?
Definitely.
And we talked about what investors should be looking at, not just the numbers themselves, but what's happening in the whole industry.
It's about the bigger picture.
Right, because investing isn't just about spreadsheets. It's about understanding the whole story behind those numbers. And so that leads us to our final question, and this is a big one.
The million-dollar question.
Well, maybe not $1 million, but you know what I mean. So we've seen how VST tillers tractors is adjusting to the changes in what farmers are buying, like the whole power weeder thing.
Right, right.
But what about the really big things that are shaping the agriculture sector? How do those fit into the story? And that's the question we want to leave you with today.
Something to ponder.
Yeah, think about it. Climate change, all the new technology coming out, what's happened with the global economy. How will all of that impact companies like VST tillers tractors? It's like trying to predict the weather, but for the future of agriculture.
And it's a future with a lot of possibilities. Will farmers have to change how they do things? Will we see totally new kinds of equipment? And what about the demand for, agricultural products? How will that change in a world dealing with climate issues and a growing population?
Yeah, these are tough questions, and there aren't any easy answers. But when you think about these bigger trends, you start to understand the agriculture sector and the companies in it a lot better.
Absolutely. Investing is all about looking ahead, figuring out what's coming next. And in a world that's always changing, being able to see those trends, understand what they mean, that's a really valuable skill.
For sure. So as you continue your own deep dive into VST tillers tractors, or any other company for that matter, keep those big forces in mind.
The big picture.
Exactly. The best investors, they don't just see what's happening now. They see what could happen in the future.
They can connect the dots.
Yeah, and that's what we've tried to do today, to give you the knowledge, the tools, to think critically and make your own decisions. We went beyond just, summarizing the information. We tried to really highlight the important stuff, the insights that you can use in your own research and analysis.
Make it useful.
Exactly, whether you're an investor or just someone who wants to understand the world better. Because these trends, these forces, they impact all of us.
In one way or another.
Yeah. So keep learning, keep asking questions. That's what makes things interesting. And that's it for our deep dive into VST tillers tractors.
Hope you enjoy the ride.
Until next time.